All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another market breakdown. It is Wednesday, October 22. So let's go through all of the Sunday swings pairs. First off is CAD JPY. CAD JPY on a weekly time frame is bullish, on a daily time frame is bullish, and on a 4-hour time frame is also currently bullish. Now I ended up closing out of this trade a little bit prematurely. I didn't like the double top we were creating. And basically, as soon as I exited, price then reacted from this EMA and pushed up. Now, there was a bit of a news event, I think, that happened about 10 minutes ago, and it is currently pushing price back down. So we'll see how that plays out. But what I would look for in order to take a continuation on this trade is either a proper retest of previous structure and area of interest in EMA to continue to buy, or I would just stay away from this pair because we are already halfway to take profit, which is all the way up here at daily structure. Okay, so your take profit would be placed right here at this structure. And I do believe that we will still get there. If not by the end of this week, then early next week. Obviously, anything can happen, but that's what I'm looking at right now. Next is USD CAD. USD CAD. So USD CAD, Alex had mentioned counter trend sells. Now, the weekly time frame is bullish, the daily time frame is bullish, and the 4-hour time frame just shifted bearish, or will shift bearish if price closes as is. So we'll be bearish from right here down to right here. So there was very, very counter trend. We did retest these structures right here with the wick, and then we sold underneath the 4-hour EMA. There wasn't many confluences to take the trade. There wasn't really much of an area of interest unless you counted something. Yeah, there wasn't really much of an area of interest up here at all. We weren't at a great psychological level. So yeah, it wasn't amazing, but it is happening. Now, what I would actually recommend to wait for is for price to retest this daily area of interest, this daily previous structure, maybe even the daily EMA if it takes a few days for this to set up. That would be the best option to take buys with the higher time frames, which are the daily and the weekly. So that's what I'm going to be waiting for. The confluences for that trade would be 3 time frames in sync. Hopefully, by the time we get there, we can get some kind of head and shoulders pattern like this or a double bottom, and then we can take buys from there. That way, we'll have 3 time frames in sync. We will be at a round psychological level of 1395. We will be at an area of interest on the weekly time frame. We will not have much of a pattern. We will not be retesting this previous structure, but we will be retesting this previous structure. So I would actually count that as retesting a previous structure. There won't be an EMA anywhere near, but we might get a candlestick rejection. For right now, I won't really mark that up. On a daily time frame, there won't be too many confluences either. There's no pattern. We will be retesting a previous structure, maybe the EMA, and we might also get a doji candle rejection. On the 4-hour time frame, this is where most of our confluences should come from. We will probably have some kind of a pattern. We will be retesting these previous structures. Obviously, the previous structure we would be wanting to retest would be the ones right around here after we get the double bottom, after we break above the double bottom, and then retest the previous structure right here. That should be where our entry comes. We will be hopefully by then retesting the EMA if something like this happens. And then we'll get a candlestick rejection, obviously, right here when price reacts from the area of interest. And after that, you'll have your entry confluences, of course. So for right now, I would stay away from USD CAD unless you want to wait for a little pullback into this previous structure, maybe into the EMA in order to sell into this area of interest. But I am going to stay away from this trade for now. After that is Euro USD. Euro USD, if I can find it, is right here. Euro USD, Alex was looking for sells. The weekly time frame is bullish. The daily time frame is bearish, and the 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. If price closes like this on the 4-hour time frame, we will have a little elbow right here. We will break above this structure point, making the 4-hour time frame go bullish, right? Then we will only have one time frame in sync, which will be the daily time frame in order to take sells. So I would actually prefer to take buys on this pair over the sells, but I wouldn't take buys straight away from right here. I would wait for price to actually break above this area of interest, above the daily EMA, and then retest to buy. That would be the buys I would look for. For right now, these sells are technically still available. They would be very, very risky compared to the buying option. So what we might be doing is retesting a lower time frame area of interest, maybe a 4-hour time frame area of interest, and then retesting the EMA to then potentially sell lower. I wouldn't really take this trade. I would wait for the buys to set up, which are a much safer option. After that, Alex was mentioning GBP USD sells. GBP USD sells are something that I was also very interested in taking, and I did take on one of my accounts. The weekly time frame is bearish, opposing to Euro USD. The daily time frame is bearish, so we already have two time frames in sync. And the 4-hour time frame is currently also bearish from right here down to here. So right now we are currently retesting a lower time frame area of interest, retesting the EMA, retesting this previous structure. So we might actually get some sells happening from here. Although I wouldn't hop right in, I would wait for some kind of lower time frame confirmation that these sells will actually happen. I prefer the 30-minute EMA. So once the 30-minute EMA gets broken below, maybe even retested, then I would be looking to take the sells. There are actually quite a few confluences for this trade. So let's go through them together really quickly. We are at a, are we at around psychological level? Not really. We aren't really at around psychological level. We have an area of interest, but it is a lower time frame area of interest. So I wouldn't even count this as a confluence for us. On the weekly time frame, we had a double top, but we're so far away that I wouldn't count that as a double top for us currently. We are kind of retesting this previous structure, so I could count that right there. Are we retesting the EMA? Not exactly. And do we have a candlestick rejection? No, we do not. On the daily time frame, we have a lot of sellers. We pulled back, retested this previous structure, retested the EMA. If we enter right now, we're going to be pretty far away from all of these confluences. So we can't really say that we created a double top. We can't really say any of that stuff right now. We can't even say that we're retesting the 50 EMA because that would only be true within these two candles. We're currently 2 days a little bit too late to take sells on this pair. So realistically, there's not many daily confluences either. On the 4-hour time frame, we might see something a little bit better. We could count this as maybe creating a double top, maybe retesting previous structure, retesting EMA, and maybe even getting a candlestick rejection if we wick into the EMA and then get a bearish doji. So those would be some confluences with an entry signal if we wait for a 15-minute or lower or higher shift to structure. So if we wait for something like this, and then break underneath the 30-minute EMA, which would also be a confluences, and then retest and engulf, that's a 75% trade setup. That is still tradable. It is a little bit risky, but that is still a possible trade. Would I take it? Probably not. I already caught the sells from right here, somewhere from right here. Stop loss was like this, and I caught a 1 to 2 really quickly sometime yesterday, and that was about it. Next is NZD USD, another USD pair. NZD USD is currently having a reaction, but also a very, very strong pullback. Weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame is bearish. We're pulling back into the area of interest into previous structure. Let's go ahead and mark these down. So we have two time frames that are bearish. We have the 4-hour time frame, which is currently bullish. That doesn't really count as a confluence. We do have around psychological level, an area of interest. On the weekly time frame, we had a head and shoulders pattern. This was the retest of the neckline, so we currently don't have any patterns. We are kind of retesting previous weekly structure on the wick there. We're not really retesting the EMA or having any candlestick rejections. On the daily time frame, we are retesting previous structure. We are not retesting the EMA, and we don't have any candlestick rejections. Well, technically, this doji might count as a candlestick rejection right there. The 4-hour time frame, we are kind of setting up with a double top. Also retesting some of these previous candles, which had strong moves before them, and we are retesting the 50 EMA. I wouldn't take this trade until we broke below and retested the 50 EMA. That's why I'm marking that, and then as well as a candlestick rejection. On top of that, if we have any entry confluences, this then turns into about a 90% trade setup. So pretty good. I would be interested in this. I am currently in AUD USD, which is a very, very similar trade setup. We're currently battling this area of interest where price is reacting from and then pulling back very, very aggressively, waiting for price to fully close underneath this 30-minute EMA. If we're unable to do that, there's a high chance that we actually create a higher low, or sorry, a lower high that is higher, and then have a lower low on the 4-hour time frame. So that is something to look out for on the USD pairs. After this is USD CHF. USD CHF, and then finally GBP CHF. So USD CHF is here, and then GBP CHF we will put right there. So GBP or USD CHF, sorry. I already did a full breakdown about this a little bit earlier. Basically, we have a lower low on the weekly time frame. We're bearish on the weekly, daily time frame. We are also bearish on the daily. We broke below this structure point. We have retested this previous structure, and we are now starting to sell. I believe we are at around psychological level. Right now it is 0.795. We have an area of interest. Weekly time frame, we don't really have a pattern. We might count this as a head and shoulders. Actually, you could probably count this as a shoulder, head, shoulder. Are we retesting previous structure? Yes, we are. Retesting the EMA, no. Candlestick rejection, previous week engulfed, so yes. Daily time frame, we're currently creating a head and shoulders pattern on the daily time frame. We're retesting this previous structure right here. We're not retesting the EMA, and we don't have a candlestick rejection just yet, unless this daily candlestick ends up closing as this doji, in which case we will have a candlestick rejection. 4-hour time frame, we are currently bullish, but we have a structure point right here, which we are about to close below, which will make us go bearish once more. And I already broke this down a little bit earlier, but to me, we look to be doing the exact same thing right here as we did right here, where we sold very aggressively, pulled back into the EMA, sold aggressively again, pulled back into the EMA, and then sold nicely. Same thing, very nice sell, pull back, shift the structure, double top, pull back into the area of interest to sell once again. So that's what I'm going to be looking for, is shift underneath this whole area, pull back, and then a sell. Once that happens, I will be very, very happy to take this trade. 4-hour time frame, kind of setting up with a double top, retesting previous structure, hopefully with the next candle, or with the next couple of candles, retesting the 50 EMA, candlestick rejection. And then on top of that, we will have a shift underneath the 30-minute EMA and an engulfing candle. This would be a very, very good setup to take. Probably going to be closer to the top of my list for the rest of this week. Last but not least is GBP CHF. Not the best trade right now. Weekly time frame is currently bearish. Daily time frame is also currently bearish. I was looking for a full retest of this area of interest, which we have not gotten yet, and 4-hour time frame. It's currently setting up with a weird double top, and we kind of came back to retest this area right here. Looks very similar to what happened over here, where we created this. I don't know what kind of a pattern this is. I'm honestly at a loss for words. A double top, and then we came back to retest the neckline of the double top, I suppose. I'm not 100% sure, but I do like the way we came back to retest these candles right here to potentially continue to sell. I'm not going to do a full breakdown of this one because USD CHF is a much, much cleaner trade. You guys can kind of go through the confluences for yourself. But this is also a potential trade that you guys could take, safer than the counter trend trades, but not as good as USD CHF and not as good as NZD USD. Those two would be my favorite pairs out of all of this list. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.